Okay, let's talk about Jimmy Kimmel. He and his late night show are off the air indefinitely after something he said during the open monologue. Here's that clip.
We hit some new lows over the weekend with the MAGA gang desperately trying to characterize this kid who murdered Charlie Kirk as anything other than one of them and doing everything they can to score political points from it.
Okay, so now he is off the air, and some people are up in arms about this, calling it cancel culture or hypocrisy from the right, and some confusion around freedom of speech. So let's try and unpack all of this tonight. Where to start? So first, Jimmy Kimmel works for ABC. Why does that matter? Well, ABC, just like NBC and CBS, they are on public airwaves. So all you need is the rabbit ears to tune in. That means that they kind of play by different rules than the cable news networks that you have to pay for, like Fox News, CNN, Newsmax, etc. Today, the FCC chairman explained that on CNBC when he said this.
Broadcast TV is different. We're on a cable show right now. You don't have an FCC license. You don't have an obligation to serve the public interest. Podcasts don't either. Stand-up comedians, whether they're on lots of forms of communications, don't. And Kimmel is free to do that. But if you have a broadcast TV license, that means that you have something that very few people have. And you're excluding other people from having access to that valuable public resource. And it comes with an obligation to serve the public interest.
So, because Kimmel said what he said on ABC, he is held to a different standard than the stuff you see on, I don't know, Fox News. And there's no shortage of hot takes on that station. One of their anchors, Jesse Waters, said this when commenting on Charlie Kirk's assassination.
They are at war with us. Whether we want to accept it or not, they are at war with us. And what are we going to do about it? How much political violence are we going to tolerate?
Now, you may see both of these people as influential voices sharing similar messages of accusation and division. But again, only Kimmel works for a network on public airways, held to account by the FCC. Here is another clip from the FCC chairman basically saying if ABC didn't drop Kimmel, he would.
But frankly, when you see stuff like this, I mean, look, we can do this the easy way or the hard way. These companies can find ways to change conduct, to take action, frankly, on Kimmel, or, there's going to be additional work for the FCC.
This is just the latest installment of the Trump administration threatening the big broadcasters. Last month, he posted on Truth Social saying ABC and NBC should lose their licenses. But before the FCC could act, Kimmel was already dropped. But not by ABC, not at first. It was actually Nexstar that made the first move. Who is Nexstar? Well, they are one of the biggest media companies in the country. They own 200 stations nationwide. Some of them are ABC stations, some are NBC, some are CBS. They actually own the CBS station right here in Raleigh. Across the country, Nexstar can reach about 68 to 70% of U.S. households. This is kind of something that most people don't really think about or understand when it comes to your local news. You see, ABC doesn't own or operate every local ABC station in the country. Most of them are owned by massive, publicly traded media ownership groups, and Nexstar is the biggest one. Here is a list of the top 5. For instance, WRAL is on NBC and Fox, right? But we aren't run by NBC or Fox. We are owned by a Raleigh company, Capital Broadcasting, and we have a mutual relationship with those networks. We give them the airways to access the people here in the Triangle, and they give us the big national programs to drive viewership and advertising. Why am I telling you all this? Well, hours before ABC announced that Kimmel was getting pulled, Nexstar pulled him first. Of Nexstar's 200 stations, 32 of them are ABC stations. Again, why exactly does that matter? Well, because Nexstar is trying to buy one of the other top 5 media companies, Tegna, which is pretty much a done deal, except they still need that FCC approval. Now, the speculation is if Nexstar moves against Kimmel, that will make the White House happy and then better their chances of getting that approval. Again, there is no proof to this claim, and I only bring it up because we just went through this with Stephen Colbert. He was also famously critical of the president, and his show was canceled just before the FCC approved Paramount's merger with Skydance Media. People accused Paramount of playing similar politics. But again, these are just accusations. The people making them say they are just following the money. But let's keep following it. Yes, Colbert was the #1 late night host, but that title means a lot less this year than it did last year and the year before and the year before. These shows have big staffs, the famous hosts have big salaries, and the ad revenue has not been keeping up over the past years. This is a trajectory that has been felt by every late night show, including Kimmel's. Business Insider reported advertiser spending on late night shows has been cut in half over the past 6 years, from $439 million in 2018 to $221 million in 2024. That is a pretty steep drop. So, what do you think? Is this about presidential power, money, business, politics? All of the above. It is worth thinking about. But I will say this. Freedom of speech is the First Amendment. That protects you from government censorship, arrests, or fines. But it doesn't mean you have a free pass to say whatever you want without consequences. Everybody has a boss. If you work for a company, you represent that company and its values and its coworkers and its goals. And if you say something that doesn't align with those values and those goals, the boss can fire you. If you are the boss, you still have a boss. It's your customers. Look at Bud Light, a recent famous example. What happened? They partnered with a transgender influencer, and the response was a huge wave of conservatives then boycotting Bud Light. In 1 month, sales tanked, and they lost nearly $1.5 billion. So what did Anheuser-Busch do? Well, they wanted to appease the people who weren't buying their beer anymore. So they pivoted entirely. They toned down the activist and LGBTQ support. They hired famous comedian Shane Gillis, a man who was once canceled, fired by SNL for old jokes that some people thought were racist and homophobic. Fast forward a few years, Bud Light is back. Gillis is huge, and he even hosted SNL, the place that fired him. Both back from cancellation because, well, money, business, politics, maybe in that order. But what does any of this have to do with you and your life and your job and your family? I know what it means to me, what I think, but I'm more interested in what you think about this. So let's keep this conversation going. Send me an email, dan@WRAL.com. I want to hear from you. Your thoughts, your input. All the intelligent viewers out there always help drive this segment. This is a complicated issue. There is a lot to talk about here. And I wonder if there is a piece of this you think we should be talking more about. Tell me what's on your mind, and we will go in depth.